TikTok, the world's biggest social media site and the app that proves Americans can read subtitles just fine when they want to. Yeah. Hundreds of millions of people around the world use TikTok every day. Because, I mean, what else are you going to do while you're pooping, right? But what many TikTok users might not realize is TikTok is owned by a Chinese company. And now we're finding out that while you're watching videos of people dancing, China might be watching you.
Leaked audio from social media company TikTok's internal meetings suggest that Beijing has repeatedly accessed data from users here in the U.S.
The recording suggests that TikTok is falling down on its promise to wall off Americans' data from its Chinese parent company, with one of the app's researchers telling colleagues, quote, "I get my instructions from the main office in Beijing."
Oh no! China's secretly watching all of us on TikTok. Now they're gonna know our money doesn't jiggle jiggle, it folds. But yeah, based on these audio leaks, it looks like TikTok's parent company in China actually does have access to our private data, which means the Chinese government probably has access to our private data, which is scary because TikTok knows everything about you. Yeah, it tracks what you watch, what you like, and then it only shows you that stuff. Like if you asked me to see my For You page, I'd be like, whoa, 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 that's too personal. Yeah, just look at my nudes instead. Actually, that's a mini Coke. And that's why, if you remember, Donald Trump was trying to ban TikTok a couple of years ago, right? Because the US government realized that China could use this as a tool to influence Americans. And also because Eric kept trying to send him friend requests. And you know, it's a little crazy how we're so hooked on social media that governments don't even need to steal our data anymore, right? We'll just give it to them. Like back in the day, they'd have to hack into a database or break into the Social Security building. Now we're just giving it to them for free. And I blame myself. Yeah, I'm part of this problem. I also took part in that personal information challenge. That was a big mistake. I hope I go viral. All right, let's move on from all the data that you're putting into TikTok to all the data that's coming out of the January 6 hearings. The investigation that will somehow result in less punishment than the Oscars slap. Last week, we learned mostly about how Trump knew that he had lost. Then we learned about how Mike Pence almost got hanged. And today's session was all about how President Trump and his allies tried to pressure state officials to sign on to his various schemes for overturning the election. Everything from throwing out Biden votes, to creating slates of fake electors, to even eating the Constitution really fast before anyone could look up the election laws. And one of the people Trump depended on most in this pressure campaign was Rudy Giuliani, his personal lawyer and final boss in a Resident Evil game. Unfortunately, it seemed like no one wanted to take Rudy's calls.
Pennsylvania House Speaker Brian Cutler received daily voicemails from Trump's lawyers in the last week of November.
Mr. Speaker, this is Rudy Giuliani and Jenna Ellis. We're calling you together because we'd like to discuss, obviously, the election. Hey, Brian, it's Rudy. I really have something important to call to your attention that I think really changes things.
Cutler felt that the outreach was inappropriate and asked his lawyers to tell Rudy Giuliani to stop calling, but Giuliani continued to reach out.
I understand that you don't want to talk to me now. I just want to bring some facts to your attention and talk to you as a fellow Republican.
Oh, wow, that's desperate. Yeah, Rudy made so many unanswered calls, the iPhone just started labeling him as spam. Yeah. And not just his calls, his body, it's 90% spam. And can we acknowledge what a fall this has been? Huh? This man went from being an American hero to now sounding like a telemarketer selling a coup. If you order now, I'll throw in that chair Abraham Lincoln is sitting on. Yeah. Hello? 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 And you know, this is just another example of how historic President Trump really was. Any other time in US history, if the president's lawyer called someone, they would take that call. But when Trump's vampire lawyer called people, everyone was like, tell him I'm not here. Yeah, tell him I went camping and I died. A bear ate my face. Tell him I'm not here. Also, not that I'm encouraging it, because I'm not. But if you are going to try and overturn an election, maybe don't leave voicemails. It's a paper trail. Also, it's 2022. Text. Who leaves voicemails? You realize how thirsty you're coming off. Hey, it's me again. Come on, Rudy. Just hit him with a quick late night, you up for subverting democracy? Eggplant emoji, red hat emoji, vampire emoji. Come on, Rudy. Keep up with the times. All right, but let's move on. It has now been almost a month since the tragic school shooting in Uvalde. And while shootings like this are always traumatic, this particular one has been made worse by how the police in Uvalde have responded, right? They didn't go in, they waited for an hour, and then they even stopped parents from trying to save their own kids. And if that wasn't bad enough, they've been trying to block information about that day from coming out. And each time more information comes out, we learn why.
This morning, the first surveillance image from inside Robb Elementary emerges. The photo showing multiple police officers standing inside the building with rifles and at least one ballistic shield 19 minutes after the gunman entered. This, despite School Police Chief Pete Arredondo's original claim that the officers weren't properly armed to take down the gunman at that point. Officers didn't enter the classroom and kill the shooter until 58 minutes later.
The state's director of public safety, Stephen McCraw, testifying before lawmakers, blasting law enforcement's response as his department's investigation uncovers new evidence about the massacre. He says officers were waiting for keys to enter, but investigators finding the door couldn't be locked from the inside and saying that officers never even tried opening it.
Yeah, you know, this story just keeps getting worse and worse. Every single time we learn something, it gets worse and worse. We already knew that they waited far too long to confront the shooter. But now we found out that they lied about not having enough weapons to go in. Because it turns out they had assault rifles, they had body armor, and ballistic shields. So I'm sorry, what else were they waiting for? The invincible star from Mario? What was that, huh? Get the out in the room. Like, how did they not go in? You know, which is, by the way, another thing that we've learned. They didn't even try to get in the classroom. They didn't even try. They told everyone that they had to wait for a key because the door was locked, but the door wasn't locked. They just never tried to open it, which is ridiculous. Even people waiting outside like a locked bathroom at Starbucks will jiggle the handle after 2 minutes just to be sure. They'll try. But it turns out these cops couldn't do what the dinosaurs in Jurassic Park took 5 minutes to learn? They couldn't do that? Just that? And you know what's insane about this whole story is how the one time it would have been appropriate to go in guns blazing, the cops decide to have a picnic outside. Yeah, but if you're black or you have a broken taillight, oh, then all of a sudden they go all Rambo on your ass. Ah, we're coming in. It's another reminder that you can't just trust what the police say. Like, this is one of the clearest reminders. Yes, they're police. Yes, you respect them. But it doesn't mean you just trust every single thing that they say after an incident. Journalists shouldn't be reporting what the police said. They should be investigating what actually happened. Because time and time again, we learn that cops in America, they basically use the same principle as toddlers. They'll tell the truth, but only if it doesn't get them in trouble. No, Mommy, the cookies tried to eat me. I was just responding. And no, my body camera wasn't working. Yeah, I turned it off. All right, finally, let's move on to some lighter news. A lot of exciting stuff happened this weekend. Drake dropped a surprise new album. Beyonce dropped a new single. And not to be outdone, President Biden had a drop of his own.
A scare for President Biden today when he fell off his bicycle in Rehoboth Beach, Delaware. The 79-year-old was stopping to talk to reporters when you see there his foot got caught in the pedal guard. As he was dismounting his bike, he quickly got to his feet. Later on his way out of church, the president repeated that he was doing just fine and hopped in place several times to prove it.
Oh, President Biden. That's just embarrassing. He was just standing and the bike fell over. And you know, it's actually too bad because before he fell over, he was looking kind of good, yeah. All of us were like, wow, look at him riding that bike. And he's 80 years old. And then he stops and falls and we're like, oh yeah. He's 80 years old. He's 80 years old. And you know, it's not just the falling off of the bike that isn't moving, but it's the fact that he thought that hopping was going to reassure Americans that he still got it. You know, that little... No, because you can see when he was hopping, in his mind, he looked like Creed. He was like, yeah, look at me go. Look at me go. When in fact his hopping looked like, you know when someone is trying to escape a kidnapper who tied their legs together? It was like that. Now, apparently the reason he fell is because his foot got caught in the pedal cage. And knowing America, it means that right now, that bicycle is already at Guantanamo Bay. Who do you work for? The Taliban, China, Russia? Kamala? Ah, the silent treatment, huh? Okay, that's how you want to play it? Well, you better start talking soon, or by the time I'm done with you, you'll be a one-speed. Don't get smart with me, you asshole! Still, though, falling down is always an embarrassing thing to happen to anyone, never mind the presidents. Which is why former President Donald Jolly Trump, he made sure to weigh in.
One of the greatest travesties of all is to see a person in the White House who, even after years of political experience, has absolutely no clue how to be the President of the United States. And I hope he has recovered because, as you know, he fell off his bicycle today. No, I'm serious. I hope he's okay. Fell off a bicycle. I make this pledge to you today, I will never, ever ride a bicycle.
Every bicycle in the world breathed a collective sigh of relief. He's not going to ride us, guys. He's not going to ride us. Thank God. All right, that's it for the headlines. But before we go to a quick break, let's check in on the stock market with our finance expert, Michael Costa, everybody. Michael, good to see you again.
Nice to see you.
What's happening in the market today, Mike?
Well, I am crushing.
Yes,
the
so
markets.
you say, Mike.
I mean, today I am crushing, and I got a hot tip. I got a hot tip for you, I got a hot tip for you, and I got a hot tip for you, so pay attention. So, this chart, actually before that, President Biden, you know, falling off a stopped bicycle. Yeah. I mean, he did the hard stuff. You know, he did the hard stuff. That'd be like if you were getting ready to go skydiving, and you do the training, you pack your bag, you pack your parachute, you get in the airplane, you take off, you jump out at 30,000 feet, you pull the ripcord, the parachute opens, you land safely, you disconnect the parachute from your bag, you take a deep breath, and you pull out a knife and stab yourself in the head. I mean, what?
All right, what's going on in the market, Mike?
Okay, so.
Thank you.
To the untrained eye, such as yourself, this looks like a stock chart. But actually what this is our confidence in President Biden. Okay, now, this is when he fell off a stopped bicycle, okay? And it went low. This scared the hell out of all of us. Okay, now these three little dips right here, that's when he did those, you know, three little jumps. Is he gonna break his leg? Is he gonna pull a hamstring? Is he gonna tear his ACL? Now, once he got home, sat in a chair, was surrounded by Secret Service, the confidence began to rise. Speaking of rising, tech, okay, up, big time. S&P 500, okay, this is tech if you don't know. S&P stands for surge and protectors, okay? And if you want to be successful in tech, you need at least 500 surge protectors to be a successful company. That's why those small businesses that don't use a lot of electricity never really seem to make it. Don't forget, I'm an expert here, Trevor, okay?
Yeah, so you say.
Yeah, speaking of tech, and I got a hot tip coming for you. Don't forget.
Is the tip coming?
No, it's going to come. Just wait. It's going to come.
All right.
So, that TikTok story. Right?
The China one. Yeah.
Yeah, China. I mean, what does China think we are as Americans? Just so lazy that all we care about are followers, you know, not our own privacy? And it's subjects like that that I talk about at my TikTok, at Michael Costa _ Make sure you give it a follow. Now, don't forget, that was leaked audio.
Right.
We know about this because of TikTok's leaked audio, right? Audio that I did a lip sync video to on my TikTok, which is @MichaelCosta_. Make sure you follow and like. Now, look, if you're as outraged about this as I am, I think we all need to send a message to the Beijing authorities, okay? So here's how we're going to do that. Grab your phone or your computer, go to http://TikTok.com, okay? And you find Michael Costa _, follow me, go to one of my videos, leave a message, and we will not be silenced, and I will let Beijing know that. Okay, got it. Ready for the hot tip?
Can we
ready for the hot tip? Okay.
We're still trying to get you followers on TikTok. Let's just get.
I've been giving a lot of hot tips, and
Yes.
frankly, I'm sick and tired of giving these hot tips away for free, so I left mine today on my TikTok page, @MichaelCosta_. You won't regret it. Thanks for the follow, Trevor. Okay, sounds good.
I feel like that was a waste of our time.